Well, as you know, I'm getting close to finishing up my shoestring. And tonight, I installed the battery. And there was so much rigmarole. I felt it was so dangerous without an arming switch. I decided, well, we better have an arming switch. Now, that's not part of their rules, but it ought to be. It was extremely dangerous. I could see me getting cut relatively easy. Now I got a problem. I can't get the flux open. Yeah. I'm going to cut the camera while I work on getting the flux open. Be back in a second. I couldn't get the flux open, so I just cut a hole in it. And I've had it so long it just glued itself, the lid on top of it. So anyway, I thought I'd give a demonstration on soldering, because there's a few guys out there that really don't know how to solder. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tin the pieces. And tinning is where you apply solder to the wire and the piece that you're going to solder. So put a little flux on it, and I'm going to strip back the end of this wire here, and I'll show you the arming setup that I come up with. Now, it is inside the cowl, but the cowl is magnetic and it just pulls right off, so instead of one action, it's two. But it certainly will be a lot safer than it was with none. So I suggest, I have a couple of different soldering irons. This is a Weller we're going to try today if that doesn't work. This is a 140 watt Weller soldering iron. If it doesn't get hot enough, we'll get my other snap-on soldering iron out, but I'm sure this will be plenty hot enough. Come on. So we got 60-40 rosin core solder. Put a little solder on the tip. You want to heat the part that you're going to solder, and then just add a little solder to it. We don't want too much. And we do that with the wires. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to set the piece that you want to solder on top of the other thing, and you're going to set the soldering iron on top of that. You know what, let's put it on the other side. We melt them together until it drops down and hold it till it cools. I didn't hold it long enough. Got pretty hot. Blow on it. I'll show you the system that I came up with. I got that. Charles, pay attention to how I soldered that. because that's the correct way to solder. We got a little bit too much solder on it, but that'll be fine. Make sure to tin this side. And then you just set the piece on there. Gets pretty hot. This is a good soldering iron. So then, after we got it soldered up, and it does have a little bit too much solder on this right here, let's take some of this off. Probably going to come desoldered the wire. Well, now I lied. The stupid thing won't heat up. Ha! Worked good there for a minute, now it won't work at all. 3/32. Here we go. Anyway, we look at these joints here. That's on there pretty good. Not pretty good, real good. Give them a tug. Piece of solder. Got a little bit too much solder on them. There we go. And a piece of heat shrink. Back when I was working on Harleys, did a lot of electrical work, and I'd look over and see the other mechanics heating these things up with wire, with a lighter. Well, heck, we're not a backyard mechanic, You got to use a heat gun or small torch. You certainly don't want to use a lighter, because what that does is leave black soot all over everything. You don't want that. Got to do everything as professional as you can. And we shrink that because most of the troubles that you have with electrical is crappy connections. So we have this breakout plug. Now we'll move the camera over this way. What I've come up with is my armsit switch inside the cowl. Getting pretty busy in here with all these wires, but nothing I can do about it. Now, this armsit comes with a set screw, but there's absolutely no way you could use a set screw inside there. So my suggestion is that you use a 440 Allen head bolt, aluminum. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure or what have you. So that's the arming plug, and then this will go in, of course, when we're ready to fly it. And then the cowl will go on. So what will happen, why this is going to be so much safer, is while I was, trying to do all this business, if I were to plug this in right now, this prop would start spinning. It could cut my stomach, it could cut my arms. So if I do it this way, I can plug it in, turn the airplane over on the flight line with this plug out, take the cowl off while it's sitting on the ground, and I can reach in from behind in a safe distance, take the cowl off, arm it, and we're ready to go. When I did that, I did that up here in my model room. I plugged that all together, and I got to thinking, man, is this dangerous? So that's what I've come up with. You'll notice I drilled my spinner too and repainted it the right color. The band still needs to be repainted, but I can see I'm going to have a issue there. Going to have a little more space on that. Maybe 2 cards. It kind of rubbed the nose ring there, I see, when I ran it. So what I'm doing here is I'm sorting out all the problems, pre-flighting the airplane, getting it ready to go to the field. I certainly don't want to drive 25 miles and find out I can't fly today. So I'll be back in a second. I gotta find the wrench. Okay, I got all those issues sorted out I had to work with. So now we can go ahead and finish this up. So what we have to do here is we have to break one side of this line. Now there's a splitter in this that powers the sound card, which is not really a big deal. I mean, I could probably have powered the sound card, soldered these sound card wires, which I might do at a later date, but for now I'm just gonna get it ready to test fly. I can solder these into this here. I'll have to take that out and redo it, but That would eliminate this plug here, which wouldn't be a bad idea. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate all this business here. Trust me, after I put this together and ran it one time, I knew that was a disaster waiting to happen. Sorry about my head, but now we're going to desolder this. I have two pieces of wire here. One will go to this wire here, which will be this one here I'm holding in my hand. Cut about an inch off of that. And just like before, I'm going to tin the wire. So we need a little flux on both of these. Get the solder to flow a little better. This is electrical flux. I don't suggest you use acid flux. Don't forget to put your heat shrink on the wire before you solder it, because once it's on there, there's no way to put heat shrink on. You could electrical tape it, but that's pretty Mickey Mouse. Would have been nice to have one piece of wire, but this is coming right off the ESC, and it's not quite long enough. So now we'll see if we can get these together without a big problem. I knew that was going to get too hot to hold. Whee! It's hot. that's a cold joint. It's no good. You can tell it's a cold joint when it goes dull. It should stay shiny. So add a little more flux. Because it gets so hot, there just is no way to hold it. So we're going to try it with the pliers, I guess. And then you can't move it, or else it becomes a cold joint. So we'll try it like this, see if it works. No good. Soldering gun getting so hot it's ridiculous. I'm gonna have to figure out some way to hold that. Ah, there we go. Forceps. Try to hold it by hand. I probably can't. Ah, it's hot. Terrible. Terrible looking joint. Ain't nothing I can do about it. Just here, let's try it with these two forceps. We might get it now. Quite a bit of solder on the thing. That's going to be good. So the joint became shiny by not moving it, letting it cool, and having the right amount of heat on it and flux. That should have held it. So now, we pick up the heat shrink. I wish I'd have thought of this while I was building it. I'd have probably engineered it a little bit different. But because it was not part of the rule, I thought, well, we'll just leave it out. Well, it may not be part of the rule, but it's probably a good idea. Okay, so we got one wire on there. Fish out this other wire here. See, not only does this have to work, you have to be able to get the battery in and out of it. Nice having magnets in the cowl hold down area, but pliers stick to them. So that's good. Get a piece of heat shrink out. You know, it's not the best engineered, but it should certainly work. And it's out of sight, so I shouldn't get any points off for extra things hanging out of the airplane. Of course, as I said, it's, you know, if I get dinged on something that's not quite right, it's got to be better than having an engine sticking out of the nose. So we got that there. There's already solder on this. A little flux on it. Little flux on this wire. So now we're just going to tin it and stick it to it. And that's it. Now with any luck, all this wiring rigmarole that we got here will operate correctly. And we're not worried about the motor starting because it's got a dead man in it.
Airplane 1.
Ah. The motor won't start, but if you listen, you could hear the sound card.
Airplane 1.
Says Airplane 1 when you plug it in, which is not really a big deal. So it doesn't have enough, it's not drawing enough current to power the sound card. But it does let you know that you got it plugged in, so.
Airplane 1.
That's not bad. So now we got all that rigmarole in there. Let's see what kind of hassle we're going to have getting the battery in and out. I'm going to move the camera so you can see over my shoulder. Oop. Quite a bigger bit of rigmarole in there. So the battery comes out pretty well. We'll clean up this We'll clean up this wiring a little bit a little later on. I can move these two wires off of this plug. Eliminate this plug right here and solder these two wires. No, I can't, because it takes a ground, so it has to go up to this plug here. I could eliminate this if I wanted to resolder those two, one on each one of those. But it would still have to come around. Yeah, it doesn't much matter. This was a battery eliminator, so I didn't have to carry around that other little 2-volt battery or 3-volt battery that was recommended. I put the battery eliminator into it. So anyway, you know, this is all new, and I really haven't got a routine on how to do this because I haven't flown the airplane yet, so I really don't know what it's going to take. I'm not even sure this thing's going to have enough cooling, because it really doesn't have an intake, an air intake like a stunt plane. So I can get it in and out. Awful lot of work to go flying. Make sure the cowl goes on okay. That works good. Unplug this because we don't want the sound card plugged in.
Airplane 1.
This is the arming switch that will be put in during flight. So that's how to solder. That's what I did for an arming switch. Always think safety. Very important. I mean, if you can see that it's going to cause an issue, soldering gun staying on.